MJ, what does it feel like to be here representing for Latinos in sports?
You know, I remember thinking, wait, Latinos in sports, we didn't already have this? But Javier is such a visionary, and he truly understands, I think, from every different aspect that we as a community really need a space like this. And beyond that, interactions and networking that takes us to another level. I think it's so important, especially for those of us who are in front of behind the camera, to have ownership in terms of the executive space, and this is exactly what that provides. So being here for me is a learning experience, so I'm absorbing everything I can like a sponge.
Well, exactly, and I never heard of this organization until last week, and being somebody who worked in the sports field, I was like, I'm not the only. Back then, I was like, I was the only one, because I was the only one when I started at the National Hockey League. So at ESPN, we see a lot of diversity. There's been diversity over the years. How has the media landscape changed when it comes to diversity? Because we're seeing more women in in leadership at ESPN and other sports companies.
Yeah, I think it's growing. It's growing steadily for sure. Certainly not in the place where we want to see it. And I think that Latinos in the space are still drastically underrepresented and drastically underserved. And so that is something that I have taken really, really to heart, right? I take it personal, because it is personal, right? So I want to see more of us behind the camera. I remember when I started at NFL Network, there was one Latino producer, and he was a Cubano from Miami. We ended up growing up in the same spot, right? And it's we all start to know each other, but I do know that there's this whole generation of young Latino journalists and creatives who really want to come into the space, and it's our job to clear the path so that they can come in and really take up space.
And I agree with you completely. That's why I started the company, because it was hard after working in sports to get into the news field again. And this has been an opportunity for them as well. So we got to pass it forward. And that's the only way we're going to change the newsrooms. Get them into the office, then change things from the inside.
That part. If we are not the ones at the head of the table, not even just a seat, if we're not at the head of the table making the decisions, it's very, very difficult to actually implement change. So I'm leaning into this CEO executive side of things, right? Because that's the only way. I remember always being asked that and saying we need more of us. I was like, oh, child, it's me. I need to be in there, right? And I think we all have that within us, especially if we've been in the business for a minute. We know how this works.
Yeah,
let's do it. Yeah.
Or we change it and we build our own.
Period. Exactly that. Do it. Exactly. We'll just do it ourselves.
Exactly. That's the only way sometimes, is just to do it yourself. Thank you so much for stopping with us. Really appreciate it. And make sure everybody watches you on ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN Deportes, and NFL Network. We have many jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Many buckets.
Many hats that has to be worn in order to make ends meet.
Truly. Now more than ever. Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Thank you
so much.